We're living through one of the greatest technological revolutions in history, affecting everything we do, from dining and shopping to travel and entertainment. This revolution includes the auto industry. It's driving a seismic shift in how people and goods will move about as we transition from internal combustion engines to fully electric vehicles, including some that will drive themselves. Ultimately, the future of personal transportation will be electric, autonomous, and connected. This future is coming faster than you may think, and it will be better for consumers, for society, and for our planet. This exciting future is what I want to share with you today. Given most of my knowledge comes from serving on the General Motors Board of Directors, I will use mostly GM examples to illustrate my points. But first, to understand where we're going, it's important to reflect on where we've been. When automobiles replaced horses and carriages more than 100 years ago, they fundamentally transformed our world. They brought jobs and prosperity, and for so many people, economic and social freedom. But that positive change came with unintended consequences. Crashes that cause injuries and deaths, emissions that contribute to climate change, and congestion that clogs our roads. These are real problems, and the industry is using its technology, its talent, and its expertise to solve them. Innovation is so important in this industry. Companies like GM have continuously embraced innovation through time. GM developed the first electric starters and first production V8 engines, the first automatic transmission, and the first airbags. General Motors built the electronics for the lunar roving vehicle that the Apollo 15 astronauts drove on the moon. And we are now working on an autonomous vehicle for use in space. The industry-first OnStar connected vehicle technology has given millions of customers peace of mind and has helped first responders save lives. With speed and spirit of innovation, major industry players are creating EV ecosystems that can eventually put anyone in an EV. It will also generate profitable growth that supports good jobs and benefits our communities and our owners. When you look at the big picture, in just a few years, the industry has gone from launching introductory EV offerings to designing EVs for everyday consumers, to scaling up for mass production by developing new EV platforms. 5 years back, GM introduced the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the industry's first affordable long-range electric vehicle, and subsequently developed an entirely new Ultium Global EV platform, and more recently in January, committed to be carbon neutral in both its global products and operations by 2040, using science-based targets. The significant progress in EV development by the industry is due to a strong and growing conviction among employees, customers, dealers, suppliers, unions, and investors, as well as policymakers, that electric vehicles and self-driving technology are the keys to a cleaner, safer world for all. In fact, GM's vision is a world with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. Industry players are making substantial investment commitments for the future. General Motors will increase its EV and AV investments from 2020 through 2025 to $35 billion, representing a 75% increase from its initial commitment announced prior to the pandemic. The company's enhanced commitment will accelerate its transformative strategy by mid-decade. We expect to sell 1 million EVs annually in North America and with our JV partners in China, our two largest markets. The figures for the coming decade are mind-concentrating. To stay on track for net zero by 2030, the industry's annual production of electric vehicles needs to be 10 times higher than it was last year, and the number of roadside charging stations 31 times bigger. Now, not only are passenger EVs experiencing increased demand amongst everyday consumers, there's also substantial interest in electrifying delivery vehicles and moving goods more efficiently. In this regard, GM has pioneered BrightDrop, which offers an ecosystem of connected products, software, and services, targeting electric first-to-last mile delivery. It's being produced at the CAMI plant in Ingersoll. Its first trial was in Toronto, where FedEx found a 25% improvement in productivity. The driver costs comprise 1/3 of the cost per mile. As well, there are savings from robotic pallets for loading and unloading. Later this year, BrightDrop will build and deliver the first EV600 vans to FedEx Express. The demand for electric light commercial vehicles will continue to grow as more consumers rely on e-commerce. The foundation of our EVs is a highly flexible and cost-efficient battery. A KPMG poll found that almost 70% of Canadians intend to purchase an EV as their next vehicle over the next 5 years, with cost being the only barrier to this goal. However, due to continued innovation and investments by the industry and suppliers, some recent estimates predict the cost of battery packs will drop substantially in the next few years, making the prices of EVs and gasoline-fueled vehicles comparable. The industry knows that mass consumer adoption of EVs requires more than winning technology and products. We need to address customer preferences and provide a new and seamless experience. For example, GM is collaborating with partners and third parties like EVgo to increase the number of home, workplace, and public vehicle charging stations. The all-electric future we are creating inspires us to do even more to help mitigate the effects of climate change. The majority of the industry are moving towards reusing or recycling of 100% of batteries, because batteries have long-term value beyond their automotive life, and because it's the right thing to do. Additionally, many industry players have made significant investments in self-driving technologies to create a safer, more productive, and improved customer experience. Autonomous vehicle technology is emerging quickly, providing new opportunities for those who cannot or choose not to drive. Government and industry-wide initiatives like the Autonomous Vehicle Innovation Network in Ontario acknowledge the mobility transformation and the need for innovative and collaborative solutions. With Cruise, GM's majority-owned subsidiary, we're determined to commercialize safe, autonomous, and electric vehicles on our way to a driverless future, one with zero crashes. Cruise is deploying driverless vehicles in the San Francisco area now because it has received a permit from the California DMV. This is huge, of course, because safely removing the driver is the true benchmark of a self-driving car, and because it brings that future so much closer. All these transformational changes require policymakers to also make changes. Infrastructure to support this transformation, whether it's accessibility to charging stations or improving the electric grid, all require attention by governments. For example, on August 10th, the U.S. Senate passed the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. This bill contained $7.5 billion to install EV chargers. The program will be administered by the Department of Transportation and distributed through state DOTs. It also provided $12 billion for supply chain development. The Biden administration committed to an aspirational goal of achieving 50% EVs in the U.S. market by sales volume by 2030, is also considering tax incentives for R&D in batteries and chips, investment in advanced manufacturing, electrifying their federal fleet, and consumer EV tax credits. This is a sample of what some global jurisdictions are doing. Canada needs to create a strong plan, understanding policy implications, physical infrastructure, R&D capabilities, and supply chain considerations in order to remain competitive globally. This moment in time is historic for the industry. The industry has changed before, and it's about to do it again. And that brings me back to GM's vision of zero crashes, zero congestion, and zero emissions. The future will be safe, better, and more sustainable for all. It will be just as transformative as 100 years ago when the horse and carriage was replaced by the automobile, and perhaps as transformative as the internet. But this future depends on good public policy. Countries that get this right will get there first and will be the leaders.